Oh, wait a minute. That sounds very pessimistic. What's your approval? What's your appraisal of that? That are we really in a dying phase? Can what we call Western civilization, with its traditions and customs, I mean, this is the big question now. Will it survive? Or, given these 2 points that I made, the precedents that have been set, is it likely that the thing is unsavable and that it will crumble and then reemerge in another form later on? But do you see catharses, or do you see that we will be able to prop it up and prevent a complete, chaotic meltdown?
I mean, you raise a lot of very important points there. I mean, the first thing I would say is that, I mean, in terms of the confusion, we now have to accept the confusion. It is a confused world. It's all been sort of, mixed and matched out there to the point where now nobody knows quite what to believe. That's how it is. So we just need to embrace that, accept it, and try to cut the most sensible way through that possible. And I think fighting that, wishing for a time when like we'd all be taken more seriously before it went on T-shirts and all of that. We're beyond that. Here we are. I think the more people hear sensible discussion and hear thoughtfulness in a world where everything has been reduced to a cartoon-like state, they will in the end, I think, come back to that. And this is where I think the optimism comes in. Because you get to a point where if everything's sort of increased to maximum reaction, where can you go other than just continual hysteria? And maybe that's the point that we're nearly at now. But in the end, it has to come back down from that. I mean, Peter Hitchens, I mean, he may basically just be having a personal crisis that he's projecting out there into the world. Yes, his views do echo that of some other people. They think that things are very bad, they're probably going to get very worse, and therefore, they're in a stage in their life where they're losing hope. But, the likes of Hitchens, he does not speak for everybody. Are there difficult things in the world? Yes. Will there be more difficult things? Yes, but there always were. By God, we've been through worse crisis than, what we got at the moment. I mean, I often hear in our media all the dark times we're living in, the dangerous times. And yeah, there may be an element of truth to that. But equally, we all grew up under the shadow of the bomb. My parents were growing up in World War II. I'm sure if you went back to their time and people were thinking that then, somehow they got through and somehow we grew and we coped. And yes, if something's dying at the moment, well, maybe it needs to die. As long as something new is reborn, and the only way something good can be reborn is for those people with the eyes to see and the ears to hear what's really going on. Try to apply some consciousness to that process so that we're not just blundering forward blindly. That, there are absolutely no guarantees anywhere that there's going to be any clear solutions to all the things that we're dealing with now. There's a lot of big stuff coming up in the future to do with automation and robotics and artificial intelligence. It's going to change absolutely everything we know. Transhumanism. But there it is. It's probably going to come. So the best thing we can do is go into it with as much awareness of the issues as we can. And we might as well be optimistic rather than pessimistic. Because if we go in with pessimism, you're guaranteed to get the wrong end of it. If you go in with optimism, well, you never know. You might make it a little bit better than it might otherwise have been. So to me, there's no point in having anything other than optimism and just trying to shape things as positively as possible, because history shows that you get somewhere in the end. And there's big setbacks along the way. Maybe there'll be a big setback soon, maybe there won't be, but something will survive. We'll be